Fantasmic is one of the most popular and beloved nighttime entertainment spectaculars in all the world. Hello everybody, welcome. New video has emerged online that gives us some clues on something new that's coming to Disney, and it could ultimately mean that Fantasmic is going to be getting some changes. But could it be for something else entirely? Fantasmic originated in 1992 in Disneyland, California. Walt Disney Creative Entertainment was asked to create a new nighttime spectacular involving water and fireworks to ultimately reinvigorate the space in front of Rivers of America. A second version featuring new scenes to Fantasmic opened at Disney's Hollywood studio just 6 years later. And this was in 1998 as part of the Sunset Boulevard expansion in that park. And ever since it opened, it has been hailed by guests as one of the best, if not the best, Disney fireworks spectacular show that they've ever created. Over the years, it's gone through a multitude of changes. An updated version of Disneyland's Fantasmic debuted in 2017. This version had new songs, new scenes, lighting, choreography, the works. Then just 5 years later, in 2022, Disneyland once again updated Fantasmic and made some additional changes. They added things like lasers and searchlights and fog machines and just made it even better. That same year in Disney's Hollywood Studios, a new revamped version launched there. But then in April of 2023, a fire destroyed portions of Fantasmic. The animatronic dragon itself caught fire. So a fourth version there was finally launched, featuring a new version of the battle between Maleficent and Sorcerer Mickey in May of 2024. Then in 2025, the Disney's Hollywood Studios version of Fantasmic essentially operated in B mode without Maleficent as the dragon, and this lasted for several weeks, giving people the worry that maybe the dragon was gone permanently because of the fire that happened in Disneyland, and they were going to be making that change. However, luckily, the dragon did come back. So over the year, the show, while amazing, has continued to evolve and improve and change. And though the current version of Fantasmic is fantastic, there is still room for improvement. Some of the sequences feel to many guests as though they are a bit slow, maybe drawn out, and a little bit even boring. And this is really because the complex nature of all the staging and things that go on for this show. There are a lot of transitions that have to happen where there are actors on the stage, there are props and scenery that need to be brought on and off, and in a normal show, you might draw the curtains and hide that behind it, or the transitions just happen really quickly because it's more of a confined space. But this thing is massive, hundreds of moving parts, dozens of actors. It is complicated to move all that stuff quickly. And so during these transitions, they throw up these water walls, for lack of a better word. It's basically these walls of spraying water that they then project things onto that you're watching while music plays. And so all these things are happening in the background that you can't see because they're hidden behind these water walls, and the transitions are taking place, and you're just basically watching a show, like a kind of a micro show on these water displays. And then once the water drops, we're back into the main show and the main action. At one point, there is a water wall sequence that happens that I think is like 3 minutes long. I mean, it feels like an eternity. It's a 30-minute show, and just one of these sequences is 3 minutes long. And I'm telling you, that 3 minutes feels like an eternity. And it's all these like character-filled bubbles that just like drift up on these water walls. And it's kind of like, different characters from different movies just kind of bubbling up and just kind of floating off the water walls up. And you just basically watch this while music is going on forever. And during this musical medley, I every time I see it, I go, man, I wish they'd get rid of this. Like, this needs to go. Or maybe it needs to be like 30 seconds. But there's such major transitioning happen. They're stalling. Essentially, they're stalling with this water wall. So this really takes away from the action. And to me, this is the weakest point of the show. But again, as I said, I can totally understand why they need them to happen and why they're there. But I've always wondered if there's like a better way they could handle it. Can we do something different so that we don't have to just stare at these bubbles and these water walls all the time? Now we have a new video that has emerged online that could very well be the answer to this problem. Instagram user Devin Cormier posted some videos of some drone testing that's happening out there at the Golden Oak Ranch in Santa Clarita, California. This is a hidden, tucked away ranch, part of Disney's property. They do filming out there as a studio, and it is a great place to test things without prying eyes, or so you think. There's always prying eyes when it comes to things like Disney and Universal. You're gonna try and hide stuff, but eventually somebody's gonna see it. There's this whole magical sort of introduction of these stars and these lights happening, and then it transitions into the sorcerer Mickey hat that eventually transitions to like Peter Pan and sort of the boat exiting. And this clearly, I mean, all of these elements could very well be sort of an introduction or an introductory phase for Fantasmic. All of those elements fit Fantasmic perfectly. Another area of the video has basically an entire Aladdin scene that's happening. You sort of have the magical sort of cave and the genie and clearly some songs that would be playing there with the genie experience. And again, there is an entire Aladdin section as part of Fantasmic today. Then we have an entire Snow White and Magic Mirror portion. This entire transformation scene, looking in the mirror, the evil queen transforms into the hag. This scene, once again, literally in Fantasmic, an entire portion of the show dedicated to this scene. And then it sort of transfers into villains and the Fantasia scene, and then ultimately Maleficent and her transformation into the dragon. Once again, all those elements are part of the Fantasmic show today. So these drone displays could very easily replace things like the introduction into Fantasmic. They could very easily replace the transitions or complement some of the transitions with these water walls to give you something else to look at. Because obviously, if you're looking up at drones, you're not really paying much attention to what's going on the stage. You could still have water there. You could add those drone things happening to tell part of the story while other things are happening on the water walls, where you could kind of be looking up and down. You could even potentially replace elements in the Fantasmic show itself. It is a 25 to 30 minute show, which is very long, and it's very costly to put on that show every year. So you can imagine Disney might be looking for ways to cut costs, not have to do as many scenes, take away some of the actors that they're paying. They could easily sort of start taking some of these things away and replacing them with drone segments. So I believe this drone show could very easily improve some of the lagging sections of the show that I think need to be improved. They need to be sped up or give you something else interesting to look at than just same water walls. In addition, just because the way that they're testing them, sort of showing sequence to sequence to sequence, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way it would show up in the show. It could just be them testing portions that they could then cut up and use at different moments in the show. It doesn't necessarily mean that they will linear, like in a linear fashion, sort of follow the progression of what we're seeing in the sky right now. Now there are of course other possibilities that where these drones could be going and what they're being used for. One of the biggest likely other candidates, if it's not Fantasmic, is at Animal Kingdom in that former Rivers of the Light amphitheater right there. That hasn't been used for quite a while. The Kite Tales sort of show was really not great, and I think they've been looking for something to do there for a while. They could easily put a drone show there in that space. We'll see. I don't know if it's going to be likely or not. It's going to depend on whether or not they're going to want to try and keep Animal Kingdom open later at night, which I've been hoping for a long time. They may match that up with the Tropical Americas expansion once the Tropical Americas happens and is live out there. I think maybe they'll keep the park open even later, and maybe we'll have a drone show there. We'll see. It would be kind of early to do drone testing for something that's still a year or two away, but who knows? It could also be for the Disney Destiny cruise ship christening that is going to be taking place sometime in November. They did a drone show and an entire spectacular and stage show and everything for the christening of the Disney Treasure. So they have done something like this before. So it very well could be for that. It could also be for some sort of VIP event of some kind. We don't really know for sure. However, even if this exact drone show that's being tested is not for Fantasmic and it's for something else, it does signal that they are once again looking at drones. We haven't seen drones in Disney for a while now. They've kind of like cut those off. They had that Disney Dreams That Soar drone show that was over the lagoon there at Disney Springs. But even that, we would periodically see drones fall right into the water. I know there's been some problems with drones over the last year, just in general. So we were starting to worry and wonder, like, maybe drones aren't going to be the future for Disney. Maybe they're not going to keep investing in them. But this is very hopeful now. This is exciting to see that they are thinking about something to do with drones again. And it could very well signal that they may be looking at potentially adding drones to something like a Fantasmic in the future, maybe even some other nighttime spectaculars, maybe something in Disneyland itself. So we'll have to wait and see. So I am very optimistic. I'm encouraged by this. So it could be changes for Fantasmic, or it could just be signaling that at some point we might get something new and maybe some drone integrations for Fantasmic. Either way, I'm excited about it, and I think it's a winner. So I'd love to hear what you think. What do you think these drones are for? Would you be in favor of adding drones into the Fantasmic show? Do you love the water walls and bubble scenes? Could you watch that for hours and hours on end? I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Again, love Fantasmic. Love to see it continue to evolve and improve. But that's all I've got. Thanks so much for joining me. I do appreciate you for watching. Please comment below, like, subscribe, and share. Until I see you next time, the noble way is the easy way. Bye-bye, everybody.